The president just laying it all out there. Still, just mentioned the name James Comey, and he went off on a tear, calling him, among other things, a leaker, a liar, and much worse. Comey insists that he did not leak any information to New York Post columnist, Pulitzer Prize winner Michael Goodwin, a multiple best-selling author as well. Michael, I don't know what the distinctions are, but he gave it to someone who did. Is there a distinction?
Well, Neil, you know, in terms of being a leaker and a liar, I think it's pretty clear that Comey did leak. There's a dispute, of course, about whether he had the right to give those documents in the first place to anybody, and then secondly, who he gave them to. Now, it's interesting that he's put both of those people on his legal team, obviously to shield him in an attorney-client relationship. I don't know that that should stand, because they were not, as he has never described them as their lawyers at the time they got the documents. So there is that. And as for his being a liar, I'm reminded of the late, great William Safire's line about Hillary Clinton. He called her a congenital liar. And when he got a lot of pushback, he said, "Oh, I made a mistake. I meant to say a congenital lawyer." I think we're seeing some of that with Comey, too cute by half.
You know, I did wonder, though, and looking at the success James Comey has had with his book, 600,000 copies sold, that's startling. And whatever you think of James Comey, I could see there's a lot of, having read the book myself, there's a lot of salacious stuff in there, a lot of stuff that really shouldn't be in a book. But cynically, I said, well, this helps sell the book. You know, the revelations, the personal insights, you know, slights, and talking about the president's appearance et al. And now I'm wondering whether future officials, former officials, depending on how it goes, that they're going to take their cues from the success of this book. If you want to sell something, make a lot of money off something, not only do you have to share some dirt, true or not, and it's hard to say, but you've got to go for a lot of dirt. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think on some level this is unique to President Trump. Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury, which has been heavily corrected by critics who say a lot of these things didn't happen. When pressed, Wolff backed away from some of the key allegations, said, well, I'm just telling you what other people told me, I'm not sure. Comey saying some of the same things. I think it all is a reflection of how standards have been debased in our media culture. And so now you no longer have to stand behind the things you say. You no longer have to respect confidential discussions. Even Comey's saying that General Kelly told him that he agreed that Comey shouldn't have been fired. And Kelly said, that's not true at all. But I think the main issue is, obviously, Kelly assumed that whatever he said would be confidential. But Comey is, I think, proving himself to be just what J. Edgar Hoover was accused of, which is essentially collecting dirt on people. And in Hoover's case, he didn't use it for the most part because he didn't have to. They were afraid of him. Comey got fired. President Trump had the courage to fire him. And this is the Comey we're seeing now. We're seeing him revealed for who and what he is. It is not a pretty picture to think this man was one of the top law enforcement officials in the United States of America, put a lot of people in prison for crimes that are questionable, missed a lot of other cases for crimes that seem obvious, Hillary Clinton being the most obvious. So his character, to me, is revealed as not admirable at all. And his idea that he's the last honest man, the Mr. Integrity, it's a scam. It's been I think a fraud from the beginning. People who know him have always looked at him with great mistrust, because he would turn on you in an instant if it were to his political advantage.
All right, I'll put you down as a maybe on Mr. Comey. Michael Goodwin, very good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
All right.